Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Uyai Anyeka and coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiako. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari presides over National Security Council meeting. Reps joined senators to hand Buhari's 6-week ultimatum threatening impeachment. Plus, Paris Notre Dame Cathedral on course to reopen in 2024. Details of the stories and more in a moment. We begin with a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has presided over the National Security Council meeting at the council chambers of the Presidential Villa Abuja. The meeting comes a week after the council announced that it was mulling out a total ban on motorcycles and mining activities in areas most prone to and affected by terrorist attack. The Security Council meeting is attended by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and the National Security Advisor, Major General Bagana Muguno. Cabinet members in the meeting include the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola, Minister of Foreign Affairs Geoffrey Onyema, Minister of Police Affairs Mohammed Dingyadi, and Minister of Defense Major General Bashir Magashi. Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabel, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, the Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Isiaka Amao, and the Chief of Defense Intelligence Major General Samuel Adebayo are also at the meeting. Others are the Inspector General of Police Alkali Usman, the Director General of the Department of State Service Yusuf Bichi, and the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency Ahmed Abubakar. Meanwhile, the presidency has replied to members of the opposition parties who staged a walkout after they moved to serve impeachment notice on President Muhammadu Buhari during yesterday's plenary. Reports say the impeachment move was hinged on the incessant attacks on Nigerians by dreaded insurgents and the latest threat to overrun Abuja, the nation's capital. However, the members of the opposition party were resisted by some members of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. Reacting to the development, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity Garba Shehu criticized the lawmakers, saying they were determined to be in the headlines and that PDP senators were divided and confused. While commending Senate President Ahmed Lawan's refusal to entertain the motion to impeach the president, he called for the collaborative efforts of the senators, adding that the president was committed to find lasting solutions to the emerging security threats. Away from that, federal government has expressed commitment to a Seed Water Convention. Minister of Water Resources Engineer Suleiman Adamu gave the assurance in his opening address while declaring a 3-day national advocacy sensitization workshop on Nigeria's accession to the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Water Courses and International Lakes for key stakeholders opened in Abuja. He said acceding to the convention provided an additional legal and institutional cooperation framework essential in the management of the transboundary waters. In another development, the Federal Executive Council has approved the 2023-2025 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy papers, setting new parameters ahead of its presentation to the National Assembly. Also, the Council granted approval for contracts cutting across the Ministry of Works and Housing, Ministry of Aviation, and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, summing up to over 17 billion naira. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made this known while briefing State House correspondents at the end of this week's virtual meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa Abuja. According to Ahmed, the ministry got input from the council and will make the adjustments for onward presentation to the National Assembly. 23 states and the Federal Capital Territory have assessed a total of 24.5 billion naira from the conditional grant schemes. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, Adejoke Orelokwe, stated this when she appeared at the weekly ministerial briefing by the Presidential Communications team at the Presidential Villa, ABUJA. Orelokwe said the funds were received as an incentive to invest more of their resources into areas of national development priorities and the Millennium Development Goals and Sustainable Development Goals. The conditional grant schemes disbursed from 2015 to date was introduced in 2007 with a 50% matching grant from the federal government and 50% from the participating state. Orelokwe said the grants were targeted at education, health, water and sanitation projects. Ahead of the 2023 Housing and Population Census, the National Population Commission has assured Nigerians of a reliable and credible data census. Chairman of the Commission, Nasser Issa Kwara, gave the assurance in Abuja at the commemoration of the 2022 World Population Day, with the theme A World of 8 Billion Towards Resilient Future, harnessing opportunities and ensuring rights and choices for all. Issa Kwara promised Nigerians that the exercise will meet international standards. On judicial matters, an Abuja High Court has granted the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Idris Ahmed, and his co-defendants bail. They are expected to sign an undertaking that they will abide by the bail conditions at the EFCC, as the judge threatened to revoke the bail if any of them failed to appear for trial. Justice Adeyemi Ajayi ordered that the defendants should not leave the Federal Capital Territory without permission of the court, nor procure alternate passports until their case is expended, having deposited their original passports to the agency. Ajayi gave the ruling on grounds that the allegations against the defendants were yet to be proven, making them entitled to bail. To the legislature now, where the National Assembly has gone on a 7-week break till September 20th. This followed the adjournment of plenary by Senate President Ahmed Lawan and House Representatives Deputy Speaker Idris Wase, who called the House attention to the rising insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory. They noted that security was everybody's business. Lawan told security agencies to stop the worsening insecurity across the state, including the FCT. Still on the legislature, Minority Caucus of the House of Representatives has joined its Senate counterpart to hand President Muhammadu Buhari a 6-week ultimatum to fix insecurity or face impeachment in the National Assembly. Minority Leader of the House of Representatives, Ndudi Elumelu, stated this after a closed-door meeting of the Joint Minority Caucus of the National Assembly today. Elumelu said the signatures will be gathered to impeach the president if the security situation was not addressed. He also drew attention to the general state of the nation, including the exchange rate and aviation crisis. It could be recalled that senators, mostly drawn from the minority caucus, had yesterday staged a walkout on the floor of the Red Chambers. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives ABUJA committee, set to investigate the petroleum product subsidy regime from 2013 to 2021, has said it does not know the profile of 23 oil and gas companies trading in Nigeria. The panel is investigating payments made by the federal government through the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, now Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC), for the subsidy on premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, within 8 years. At the resumption of the investigative hearing on subsidy payments, the chairman of the committee, Ibrahim Aliyu, stated that the firms had major serious questions to answer. He added that the committee would be forced to write to the embassies of the countries where the companies are based for information on them. Still from the legislature, the House of Representatives has faulted the alleged omission of Anambra and Enugu states from the ongoing National Agricultural Growth Scheme of the federal government. At the plenary, the House urged the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to revisit the omission with a view to include the two states in the project. The House also mandated its Committee on Agricultural Production and Services to ensure compliance with the resolution. This was based on a motion titled Call on the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to include Anambra and Enugu states in the ongoing National Agricultural Growth Scheme (NAGS) under ATASPL, which the lawmakers unanimously adopted. We move now to security, where gunmen suspected to be bandits last night reportedly launched attack in Owo, headquarters of Owo local government area of Ondo State. The Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer SP Fumilayo Dunlami, who confirmed the incident, said some persons were injured in the attack, adding that it was still unknown if the perpetrators were terrorists or bandits. Recall that weeks ago, some suspected terrorists attacked St. Francis Catholic Church in the town, murdering no less than 40 worshippers. Meanwhile, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission (NIDCOM), Abike Dabiri Erewa, has expressed optimism that justice will be served for the 2 Nigerians killed at the weekend in Canada. Dabiri Erewa also commiserated with the families of the slain Nigerians, expressing her deepest condolences with their families and friends. Recall that 22-year-old Chibueze Moma and 25-year-old Tosin Arogoshegbe were allegedly shot dead on Saturday by gunmen at the ATL Lounge in Vaughan, Ontario, Canada. Meanwhile, the public relations of the Commission, Abdul Rahman Balagun, has said the police authorities in Canada had begun to look into circumstances surrounding the deaths of the 2 young Nigerians with the hope of bringing the culprits to book. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Dom Emmanuel has donated another set of 10 security patrol vehicles equipped with communications gadgets for the State Police Command. This brings to 45 the total number of operational vehicles donated to the police in the state by the present administration. Governor Emmanuel, who stated this while receiving the new Commissioner of Police in the state, Olatoye Durunsimi, who was at the Government House, Uyo, on a courtesy visit, said his administration had also procured 18 gunboats to boost security in the riverine areas of the state. The governor further commended the new Commissioner of Police for the innovations introduced in policing of the state and effective collaboration with other security agencies in securing the area since his assumption of duties in the state. Speaking earlier, the Commissioner of Police in the state, Durosimi, said he had intensified patrols in all parts of Akwa Ibom to detect and prevent crime in the area. The Commissioner of Police lauded the state governor for his support to the command and assured of the readiness of the police to work round the clock to sustain the peace currently being enjoyed in the state. He was accompanied on the visit by heads of units of the State Police Command. Still to come in the news. Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games begins today. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. We move to Africa, where protesters took to the streets for a third consecutive day after at least 15 people were killed and dozens of others injured during the previous 2 days of demonstration in Congo's east against the United Nations mission in the country. The UN said 1 peacekeeper from Morocco and 2 international policemen from India serving with the UN peacekeeping force were slain, and a policeman from Egypt was injured at the UN base in Butembo in North Kivu province when violent attackers snatched weapons from Congolese police and fired on UN personnel. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has condemned the violence targeting multiple UN bases across North Kivu since Monday. Meanwhile, President Macron has arrived in Guinea-Bissau for the first official visit of a French head of state to West Africa. The French head of state was received at the Osvaldo Vieira airport in the Guinean capital by his Guinean counterpart Umaro Embalo. This business visit comes as Umaro Embalo assumed office on the 3rd of July as the president of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, for a 1-year period. President Macron's visit is highly anticipated as the streets were full of people chanting his name and waving flags in a bid to express their delight and support for his visit. On the foreign scene, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is on track to reopen to worshippers and the public in 2024. Culture Minister Rima confirmed this more than 3 years after destroyed in a massive blaze. She said the cleanup phase of the restoration projects had ended, rebuilding underway at the end of the summer. Notre Dame has been closed for restoration since the fire in 2019 and sent its spire crashing down, to the horror of onlookers and people watching in France and around the world on television and social media. Still on the foreign scene, after months of internal debate, the Biden administration has offered to exchange Victor Bout, a convicted Russian arms trafficker serving a 25-year U.S. prison sentence, as part of a potential deal to secure the release of 2 Americans held by Russia, Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced that the U.S. presented a substantial proposal to Moscow weeks ago for Whelan and Griner, who were classified as wrongfully detained, noting that Biden's support for the swap overrides opposition from the Department of Justice, which is generally against prisoner trades. The top U.S. diplomat said he intended to discuss the matter on an expected call with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov this week, his first conversation with his counterpart since the war in Ukraine began.
On the table weeks ago to facilitate their release. Our governments have communicated repeatedly and directly on that proposal. And I'll use the conversation to follow up personally and, I hope, move us toward a resolution. We put a substantial...
Elsewhere, Taiwan has held massive Han Kuang military drills as tensions with China builds. Taiwan's military scrambles indigenous defense fighter IDF jets and tanks, while ground troops detonate explosives to stop the advancement. The scenes are part of the week-long Han Kuang exercises held across Taiwan and its outlying islands until Friday. The annual event has been running since 1984 and involves all branches of Taiwan's military, including its reserve forces, in an effort to boost overall defense capabilities. Reports say this year the drills have taken on a greater significance amid growing concerns over China's intentions toward Taiwan, a self-governing island that Beijing's ruling Communist Party claims as its own. In business, there are indications that multiple checkpoints and extortion of truckers are pushing importers and other investors to neighboring countries' ports, thereby depriving Nigeria of the opportunity to earn income. The chairman of the Association of Maritime Truck Owners, Amato Remi Ogungbebi, stated this at a stakeholders meeting organized by the Maritime Anti-Corruption Network, MACN, held in Lagos. Ogungbebi emphasized that multiple checkpoints along the port corridors have also led to financial loss and bankruptcy on the part of importers and truckers, arising from the diversion of containers and cargo on trucks. He said there is also an increase in prices of imported commodities arising from unauthorized payments at multiple checkpoints and extortion along the port corridor. In health, the federal government said plans to commence the universal health coverage, which will provide affordable and accessible health care to 83 million vulnerable Nigerians, is underway. The secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, disclosed this when the delegation from the World Health Organization, led by its country representative, Dr. alongside the Executive Secretary, National Health Insurance Authority, Professor Mohammed Nazir Sambo, paid him a courtesy visit in his office. The SGF said the signing into law of the National Health Insurance Authority Bill by President Muhammadu Buhari has signaled a new lease of life to the health sector, which would make universal health coverage accessible to the vulnerable in every nook and cranny of the country. Meanwhile, World Health Organization country representative Dr. Walter Mulumbo Kazadi has said the law would make healthcare services accessible to vulnerable in the society and by extension improve the health and economic status of Nigerians. In sports, the year of waiting and preparation has come to an end today as the 22nd Commonwealth Games begin in Birmingham. Birmingham is hosting what is said to be the most expensive sporting event in the UK since the 2012 Summer Olympics in London, which cost $8.8 billion. Meanwhile, Nigeria will be making her 15th appearance at the Games since its debut in 1950 when Joshua Mekodomi won the country's first medal in the high jump event in Auckland, New Zealand. Reports say in Birmingham, the 94-man contingent will be aiming to exceed the country's best outing at the 1994 Games in Victoria, Canada, where Team Nigeria amassed 11 gold, 13 silver and 13 bronze medals. Meanwhile, 72 Commonwealth of Nations will be competing in 20 sports, while the opening ceremony today will take place at Alexander Stadium. Still in sports, the captains and flag bearers of Team Nigeria for the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, United Kingdom have emerged. The captains are Namdi Innocent, one of Nigeria's leading men powerlifters, and Blessing Oborundudu, top women wrestler, a silver medalist at the last Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan, and gold medalist at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. The flag bearers at today's opening ceremony will be Namdi Chinerem Prosper and veteran women powerlifter who doubles as the world record holder in her category, Oluwafemi Folashade. The opening ceremony of the 2022 Commonwealth Games will hold at the Alexander Stadium in Birmingham, United Kingdom from 7:15 p.m. On entertainment, it is a winning season for Nigerian award-winning singer Temilade Okpeniyi, popularly known as Tems, as she made her solo debut on Billboard Hot 100 chart with her 2020 song Free Mind off her For Broken Ears EP. For her debut solo entry, Tems peaked at number 90, making it her 4th time appearing on the prestigious Billboard Hot 100 chart. Recall that in May, Tems made her debut at the number 1 spot on Billboard Hot 100 charts with her feature on Wait For You by American rapper Future. The track also featured Canadian artist Drake and is the 7th on the Future's latest LP album, I Never Liked You. Receiving the award, Tems urged women and girls to continue on their chosen path, adding that the hard work will soon pay off. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Uyaya Niekin. Thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of your evening.